This video is all about a fantastic and interesting topic called resilience. It's really important to think about it from a leadership context when, if you think about leadership being energy, it's about what we transmit. And I always believe that, as leaders, we only have one thing that we're really in control of. And the thing that we are in control of is the energy that we transmit. That's a combination, if you like, of our behaviors, our emotions, the action we take, our thinking, and all those things combine together to create an energy, if you like, that we transmit out. The rest of it really is about other people deciding whether they really want to follow us. So it's really important to focus on really what you're in control of. And what we're in control of course, is what we transmit out. Now, if we think about the tough world we live in, we talk about the VUCA world, is that it's very easy for that energy just to be taken away all the time and having nothing left. I don't know if you've been in that situation yourself. So I think as leaders in today's world, it's really important about what is it we're actually putting in to become more resilient and have the right energy, if you like, to be able to perform at the highest level day in, day out. So what I'd like to share with you on this video really is 6 key thoughts, if you like, or 6 domains that have been proven to help us to become more resilient. I was really fortunate. I left school at 16 and joined the military, and I spent 9 years, if you like, developing resilient behaviour and mindsets to help me to operate in very tough environments around the world. And some of the things that I learned there really are very basic things and very simple things. A lot is around mindset, but there's also some fundamentals that we need to have in place that will make us more effective. So let's get straight into the thoughts and ideas. And as we go through this, quite a self-reflective video, this one. So have a think about whether you have these elements or these domains in place in your life on a day-to-day basis. So the first thing really is quite straightforward. And I can remember when I left DuPont as a career and started my own business, and I wanted to move into training and development, but didn't really know much about it. So I watched lots of videos and listened to lots of audio tapes, the cassettes at the time in the car, and I listened to all these Americans and how fantastic they were and great speakers at the time. And I made a big mistake because my first 3 years were very exhausting in business, because what I was actually trying to do was to try and copy what other people were actually doing. And what I realised, of course, is I didn't really know why I was doing what I did. I just knew I wanted to go out there and train and make a difference, but I wasn't really sure about what my purpose was. And actually, I wasn't really being authentic. So first thing for you to think about, really, which goes right back to the heart of it, really, is that the first thing for us to think about as leaders is about what's your personal vision. And I think the importance there, of course, is to understand what your purpose is. And for me, that became very clear after a few years in business. I suddenly realised, what is it that I was here to actually do? And for me, it's around, how do I awaken possibility in people to deliver extraordinary results? So if I've had a really tough day and I'm exhausted and I'm going to bed at night and I'm lying in bed and thinking, has it been a great day? I can just ask myself that question, am I on purpose? Did I make a difference today? And if I did, then I can feel really happy and I get more energy and I can get out of bed in the morning and do the next thing and make a difference again. And knowing what your personal purpose is really important. So if you're not clear about that, then there's a really good way of thinking about it is that what difference do you want to make to this world? What is it you're really here for? So have some discussions around that. So purpose is really important. Obviously, once you've got purpose in place, then you need to actually set your personal goals as well. And for me, that's around a number of things around when I set my business up. I think for me is that what I learned from that after a few years of doing it wrong was that to be successful, you need to start actually with what is it you want out of life first, and then work backwards from that and create goals that give you the life that you want to lead. So I think for me that's really important. So making sure that your goals are aligned to your purpose. And the final thing really in the first domain really is around living your life authentically. The more and more authentic you are, the easier it is. And it's quite a simple formula. If you're trying to copy someone or be someone you're not, then that takes energy, and it's taking energy away from you. So I certainly did it the hard way. I used to run a 3-hour sales seminar. I went round the UK in the evenings giving this 3-hour seminar, and at the end of it I was exhausted. I didn't know why, and I realised after a while is that you had to present this particular program in a certain way, and I realized I wasn't actually being me, so I changed. I started changing and being me, and at the end of 3 hours, I was really energized, and I felt more positive, and guess what? The feedback I was getting from people was a lot better as well. So being authentic is really, really important. So that's the first thing really, is be really clear about what your vision is, make sure you know what your purpose is, understand what your goals are, and then make sure that you're operating in an authentic way. So the second thing that is really important is about what is it that you're actually putting in to your body to get the energy, and the more energy you have, the more resilient you can actually be. So things to think about here really are exercise, and we're not talking about being an Olympic athlete or having to go out and run marathons at 4 o'clock every morning. We're talking about movement really, and it's very easy in today's world is to become very sluggish and be de-energized because we're sat down and we spend a lot of time on computers now and responding to emails. So it's really important to think about how much movement do you actually build into your day. So it can be little things like taking the stairs or parking the car a long way from the entrance, all those little things that add up there, and find some exercise in the evenings and weekends that you and your partner really enjoy and you love, and it's exciting and enjoyable. So it doesn't have to be a really competitive and energy sapping exercise. It's just about getting the body moving and doing something it really loves and enjoys. So that's one thing to think about. The other aspect of that, of course, is around the fuel, and for me, fuel is really what food is all about really. So there's loads of stuff out there, you can spend hours and hours talking about nutrition, but for me it's around finding a diet that works for you, and making sure you're putting the right stuff into your body. Without the right stuff, it just doesn't work, does it? So that's something to think about. And the next thing then really is really about how much sleep you get, and it's very easy to get caught up in this this way of working now, which is, I don't know where it's come from. Is it from America? I don't know, where you're supposed to have 4 hours sleep a night and all that sort of rubbish. I think for me around is finding a sleep pattern that works for you. Some people need a short amount, some people need a lot. And for me, I need between 6 and 7 hours, and I'm getting that every night, and I feel really energized and really positive. So sleeping for me is around where the body rebuilds itself and gets the energy for the next day. So it's important to make sure you get enough sleep in place. And the final thing on this element really is around how much headspace you get. It's really important that sometimes in business day we can just be so busy that we just don't actually get any time for the brain to actually slow down a little bit. When I'm coaching people, I spend the first half hour just listening to people offload, and their brain's going at 400 miles an hour, and we need to be able to slow down a little bit to be able to become, if you like, more mindful and in what we do. So you can combine all these together, can't you? Going out for nice walks, having meetings that are walking aspect, and getting out in nature, and just getting time to think and reflect on what's coming up for you in your mind, and getting some space just to be and to rather than to do as well. So there's 4 areas there to increase your vitality. So for me, it's around movement, it's around diet and water and exercise and nutrition. It's around what you actually put into the body, just as much as what you take out of it as well. So some thoughts there around domain number 2 in terms of our becoming more resilient. The next thing to think about here really is around what's your support network, and I think this is really important. It's very easy to think that being strong and being our own, and you have to be the person to solve everything in your world. But I think it's really important to build up a support network. And in the business context, that can be your leadership team. It could be your peer group. It could be the social networks or networks you have at work. And outside of work, that could be family and friends. And I think it's really important to build that good network of people. And one of the aspects we use a lot in our training is mastermind groups, where there's just like-minded people getting together for a day, once a quarter, and the difference that makes to be able to share your issues and challenges and work together in a collaborative way to solve problems is really, really powerful. So what networks and support mechanisms do you have in place to be successful? Don't feel or don't think that you have to do everything yourself. So that's number 3. So we've got vision, vitality and support. The next one over here is really about composure, and that's really a lot around the emotional intelligence. And it's one of the things I learned in the military was around this whole concept around there's a stimulus, which is what you're seeing, hearing, feeling and smelling and tasting, and then there's the response, and the gap between the stimulus and response is what you're in control of, and that's what's called your point of choice. So one thought I give to you this is that when you're in a situation where you think that someone across the table is making you really angry, just remember this concept that actually that person across the table is giving you a stimulus. You're choosing to respond in an angry way. It's not the other person that's making you angry, it's yourself. So having that composure and self-control is really important. It's a key element that we used to develop in the military around mental toughness, is you are in control how you feel. It's not about an external locus, it's about an internal locus. So being tough, if you like, is around the choices you make to the situations you're actually in. And remember that you are always in control. So that's around composure. So the self-awareness and the psychometrics you've done will help you understanding what your buttons are, your emotional triggers, and all those key things will help to make sure that you understand what's happening in that situation and make the right choices. So remember next time you're feeling you just want to punch that person on the nose, remember it's not the other person, it's you that's making you feel like that, no one else. Okay, so that's a key point to being resilient. You are in control of the situation. The next thing I want to share with you is around this whole thing around persistence, and this again is like a mental muscle that you can develop, and it's all about tenacity and quite often it's called bounce back ability. And when things go wrong, what is it you do to make sure that you can achieve greater success? And in the military, they used to call it dislocated expectations, and that again is around your choice to the situation. And I think it's a combination of all these elements help you to be more optimistic. And I always believe that if you have a vision and a purpose and a set of goals, and you have a plan of how you get there, then you can be a lot more optimistic and really believe in it. What you're trying to achieve is a great thing to actually do. And the final thing I want to share with you really on this around vitality is around making decisions effectively. And this is a key thing really. So building problem solving tools, building your leadership toolkit full of different tools and techniques. We shared with you just one on this video series around radiant problem solving. There's many more out there. So the more decision making and problem solving tools you have in your toolkit, the more resilient you can be. Because one of the biggest things you can do if you're in a situation where you're worrying about something is to stop, think about being mindful of what's coming up for you, and then actually take action. Now obviously before you take action, of course, you need to solve the problem. So the amount of tools and techniques you have in here are really important. The final aspect of this last element, this last domain, is around anticipation. And for me, one of the things that can really help you be more resilient is your ability to anticipate and to kill risk before it kills you. So for me, that's around thinking about, this is where I want to get to. These are some of the potential risks that could happen. Make sure that you take action to make sure that you remove the risks you can, monitor the ones that you can't remove, and have a contingency in place to make sure that if they do crop up and they do happen, then you can do something about it, having a plan B. And when you have all these 6 things in place, you'll find that you become more resilient. And the way I think about resilience is it's something that you have to keep working at. It's a bit like, if I broke my arm, for example, and I was in cast right up to my shoulder, that over a period of time my muscles would just disappear. So it's about keeping working at it, reviewing, reflecting, focusing on it, and making sure that we've become more effective in what we do. So there's some thoughts for you. The work really, in terms of the call to action from this video, is have a look at those 6 domains, have a reflection, if you like, a think about it, and think about what actions can you take, what can you start doing that perhaps you're not doing, what can you stop doing that you shouldn't do, and what can you continue doing to become more resilient in today's world. So I wish you every success. Bye for now.